Do you place any value in, for example, what we saw just moments ago, State of the Province address by Premier Panyaza Lesufi, and possibly State of the Nation address we saw 2 weeks ago by President Cyril Ramaphosa, and the budget speech we will hear on Wednesday? Do these events, do these occasions, and what is articulated there mean anything to South Africans?
Yes, they mean a lot. Remember, the budget is basically a struggle to distribute the resources, the wealth of the country. So, because we live in an unequal society characterized by power imbalance, exploitation, so there's a real struggle going on. Will the rich get richer or the poor get poorer? Or will there be something for the working class and the poor? So it's very important to watch what Minister Kodongwane says, although already President Ramaphosa did give some pointers on how they're going to approach the budget.
Yeah, it's a question of whether they follow what others suggest is an expansionary route, or they keep going with what they have been going with, which is the austerity route. What would for you be an indicator of which direction they are choosing to pick?
Yes, it's good to put it that way, although in reality it will be a mixture, and also, there has been austerity, but in some instances, there has been also an increase in spending. The real question is, where is the bulk of the money going to? Is the money going to make the rich richer? Is it going to help the investors, and the big capitalists make more profit? Or is it going to alleviate the obvious suffering, crisis of ordinary working class people in South Africa, faced with food inflation, 14%, joblessness, workers getting starvation wages. So that is the real issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So by and large, if for example, as we already are hearing that the offer that they are making, at least to public servants for the 2023-2024 financial year, is probably an increase of about 4.3%, nothing really in line with what the CPI is telling us at this particular point. But also what we are hearing is that, for example, some 600 million is going to be spent to up the skills of black South Africans in particular to be able to participate in this infrastructure rollout program that government wants to do, because they have not been able to roll it out because they are less people with capacity to be able to do that. And a lot of money being put not on consuming the budget, but on projects that are building infrastructure, that are more about maintaining our roads and our railway system. Is that good enough in terms of ensuring that the people get something out of this budget?
It's not good enough. Indeed, the budget speech will indicate who is in charge in South Africa, because I think most people have been wondering who is running this country. It sounds and feels like it's on autopilot. So I think that at the moment, because the ANC is facing the 2024 elections, already planning for that, and it is filled with what I can call electoral anxieties, it thinks it's going to lose its majority. There is a bit of power or leverage or bargaining chip which the working class and the poor have got. But ultimately, 4.5, when inflation is at 6-7%, it means that the workers are actually getting a wage cut. So it means the rich, the capitalists, are still winning. So the ANC is making its choice, although it's worried about its electoral fortunes.
Talking about those electoral fortunes, for example, if you listen to the address today by the Premier of Gauteng, which by and large is what is going to be delivered also in the budget speeches, that there is that sense that you want to appeal to a particular electorate, particular constituency. So in this particular instance, you see the speech of the Premier firstly speaking to the constituency of township entrepreneurs, spaza shop owners, saying we are going to harness your collective buying power and we are going to give you access to the procurement budget. You hear him talking to the township real estate sector, saying backroom dwellers and so on and so forth. And you hear him speaking to this taxi industry constituency, very, very important, saying we are going to put in some money for you as well to improve your taxis. And then you have sporting activities. And then thereafter, he speaks to the broader issues that probably are concerning a majority of citizens in the province: education, health, and so on and so forth. Are the promises that are being made, for example, to these sections of society good enough? You know, almost like a little bit of piecemeal. We'll give you 600 million so that tomorrow you can say, well, we did give you something, or we gave you 20 million, or we gave you 10 million.
Well, look, if he's playing games, if he's just, trying to persuade people to vote for the ANC when the ANC his fortunes are tied fully with, big business, with vested interest, with the aspirant black bourgeoisie, then it's not good enough at all. So I think it is a fact that for the past 30 years, the ANC has shown clearly where it is standing, which music it is dancing to, which interest it is taking care of. These are the interests of white monopoly capital and also trying to make some space for the aspirant black bourgeoisie, either legally or through corruption. So that's the issue. But when elections come, it is now time to speak a different language, to persuade the ordinary voter that whatever they're doing or will do will favor them. But after 30 years, I think many people, many voters, especially working class people, poor people, they have seen through this game. Okay? The only issue now, Thabo, is what step will the ordinary people take? Because clearly the vote in itself is not strong enough to change government policy to favor the poor, to favor the working class. So I think that, it could be that, this election, is a last chance for the masses to actually assert themselves so that they get what is due to them rather than, getting poorer in a relatively rich country.
Two things expected from the finance minister. One, that the 400 billion debt burden at Eskom is going to be absorbed into the balance sheet of government. Will that be good enough? Will that bring relief to the poor? Second thing currently, because of course much of the focus will be on this energy crisis, is that there will be some tax relief for solar panels on top of roofs so that people can be able to get those components. Are those big items? Will those things shift anything if they are announced?
Well, the crisis of the ANC primarily is that, as you opened up saying, all the classes are against it now, especially because of its mismanagement of electricity, of energy. So I don't think that Kojongwane or Ramaphosa have a choice. They have to bail out Eskom, because if they don't, the lights are going to go out and go out permanently. They are already going out now, so the grid is going to collapse. So perhaps that will help. But of course, we know that after 15 years of load shedding, after 15 years of mismanagement by the ANC and whichever board it installed there, it means that the problem is deeper. Probably the ANC in power cannot solve this problem. So maybe the voters might decide to get rid of it.
Yeah. A big indicator for you, I gather, would be the announcement of a universal basic income grant that is talking something more than 350 rands a month.
That would be very important because the people are suffering hardship, starvation, homelessness. The youth, it's pathetic, Babu Mzuli. So I think that the people do need that cushion. And I think a universal basic income grant, would be a big step forward, for millions and millions of suffering people. And I do think that, if you use such an amount of money, we have to take it from somewhere. So I think that the ANC must be brave enough, maybe to increase the tax of the rich, the top 1%, so, they have to tax the rich so that the poor can have a better life.
Dr. Ngwane, I appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much for coming on. Dr. Trevor Ngwane, Director in the Center for Sociological Research and Practice at the University of Johannesburg. When we continue next, SAMU has welcomed the axing or at least the resignation of the Executive Mayor of the city of Tshwane. Stay with us. Continue. Or is it? I think the guest has changed. I don't have import Latin. They've changed the guest.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, all right. Ja, utambuza ingine shapo net. Eh? Is it okay?
Sean Paul, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, Chapo, coming to you.
All right.
Right, back live tonight on In Focus. The Ministry of Police released the grim third quarter crime stats on Friday, which shows that murder, rape and contact crimes are on the rise. The Nelson Mandela Bay communities of KwaZakhele, New Brighton and Bethelsdorp were flagged as crime hotspots, and with 7,555 murders reported between the 1st of October and the 31st of December 2022, this equates to 82 murders in a single day. Our reporter Siphosethu Booi takes a look.
The residents of Bethelsdorp community, which is ranked 24th in the third quarter crime statistics, say they fear for their lives as incidents of house robbery and cable theft have hit the roof. There's also the frightening gun violence, which has in the recent past claimed dozens of residents in local townships.
On top of that, our major thing is now they're ripping the cables also out. We're sitting without electricity, and we're crying for help, and now proper people come out to us as residents here, and we are staying together to stop the crime.
According to expert reports, gangs, unemployment and drugs are contributing factors to some of the crimes in, among many others, Bethelsdorp, Bloemendal and Kelvindale. And as rife as violent crime is in these areas, there's also a lack of support from community police in forums, which makes it difficult to ultimately arrest the situation.
The challenges that we find is murder. It has become rampant in our areas. It starts in our school, and this is the huge challenge we are facing, and we need to approach this thing across the board with all different departments, all sectors.
This year alone, it all started on the 29th of January with a mass shooting at a birthday celebration on Maqanda Street in KwaZakhele, where 8 people were killed and 3 others wounded. Later on that fateful Sunday, the body of a high school pupil was found not far from the birthday celebration scene. She had been shot in the back. Shortly after the teen's death, another shooting occurred at a nearby tavern, claiming 3 lives. And only 2 days later, an elderly woman was shot dead in her house in nearby New Brighton community.
We are saying beefing up investigation team is correct, but also you must beef up this side of prevention and fighting crime, so that we work together and make sure that we eliminate these illegal firearms that are roaming around our streets.
Church leaders, business owners and community leaders are all concerned that the perpetrators were still walking among them. Police spokesperson Colonel Priscilla Naidu says the motive for the shootings is still under investigation. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Siphosethu Booi at my best.